Welcome to episode 63 of the Weekender. I'm Brandon Roberts, along with my co-host Chris Bishop. Still coming to you from Quarantine Live.
Wow, 10 days takes forever to go by, huh?
It does. I have a few more days left, so hopefully I make it through. I'm just going to go crazy, bouncing off the walls.
Hey, I take it that you actually closed on an investment property during your quarantine?
Yeah, so that was interesting because I'm like, how am I supposed to go in and actually sign papers? You know?
Everyone's got their reasons.
Yeah, and the weird thing is like me buying that one was then they were buying something else, and those people that were selling that were buying something else. So thank goodness Chicago Title worked with me, and they actually delivered the documents to my front door to sign. So it was kind of cool. They went above and beyond,
Wow.
really helped me out. So it is still possible to buy a house in quarantine. I found that out.
That's really cool. Well, it's amazing how everyone's made things work and conform to it. But even though you were the cog in the wheel? Is that what they say?
I could have been.
you made it all happen. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's interesting though, because you remember at the very beginning when this all started back in March. I mean, when somebody had COVID, everything just stopped. I mean, there wasn't a way to get around that. And now they've learned to really adapt and work through that, which is kind of cool, I guess. Life still goes on.
That's the truth. Life always finds a way. Hey, so I thought of some cool topics we could talk about, on this Weekender. And have you gone on and checked out the applied analysis reports that Las Vegas Realtors partnered with them to do? Have you seen any of those yet?
So I've looked at some of the basic ones, but I haven't given it as much thorough as I should. But I know what I have looked at is pretty in depth and pretty cool. I mean, they've got some good information.
They really do. And what's really cool is Dave Tina, actually, Junior, was a big proponent of bringing the partnership between Applied Analysis and Jeremy and Brian and the board and their numbers. Because, you'd read these articles and it would be the board's median price, and then it would be the analyst's median price, and then it would be your median price and the MLS's median price. Right. And it just was all over the place. And it was because of the way they, put together the analytics. And so the nice thing was it was Dave's idea that I got credit for because it happened in my year.
Best thing. But I sat on the board with him when we approved it.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
whatever.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so the cool thing is every month you get a complete report about the market from single family to condos and basically what's going on with the prices and the inventory. And we talked about that, I think, like a month ago. But the October numbers, here's something I found really interesting. 3,225 single family listings sold, but 3,592 homes were listed. So we're actually finally listing more property than we're selling. We already said there's only 4,500 homes available, but here's something else that's really cool. Out of the ones that sold, their median price, which is the one GLVR promotes of the sold product, was $340, but the median price of the listed product was $350. And so the properties that are being listed that we're getting more of are listing at higher prices, which of course means that if they sell and they're not all overpriced, our market price will continue to move up. So that's kind of cool. Same thing in the condo market. 736 units sold, 852 units were listed, and their median price is 186 right now. But the median of the ones listed is 200. So we're seeing a rise in those. I mean, imagine buying a condo now for $200,000 that you could have bought for $30,000, 4 years ago,
2007, 2008. Yeah. They were giving them away.
Right. And then in single family properties, 70.3% of all homes are selling in under 30 days for the single family market. And this stunned me. 62% of all condos are selling in under 30 days. And why that's crazy is, all of those condos have weird financing, if you're trying to get, owner occupied FHA or VA, because a lot of the communities aren't approved. But yet, even with that, 62% are selling in under 30 days. So still a hot market all the way around.
Is there any stats in there on what's cash and what's finance percentages?
They do have it. I didn't write all those down on there, but they track some of those numbers in the big report. And the big report was 144 pages. It's kind of like their economic update report. And so the cool thing is they're tracking, transfers, meaning the people that come from California to Nevada to get new IDs. But let me give you some stats that are really cool from there. They actually have 10 slides about coronavirus cases, which I was shocked at. I didn't know that they even tracked that. But so far, they've had almost 24 million cases worldwide, and unfortunately, 815,000 deaths, which is 3.4%, of course, of that amount. They also went in and tracked some of the stimulus plans. So get this, Brandon. 2001, we remember 9/11. There was a massive stimulus to bail out the airline industry because no one was flying, because everything that was going on. Do you remember how much that stimulus was for?
I don't.
Take a guess.
I wouldn't even be in the ballpark.
Live on the wild side.
$1 trillion.
Only 15 billion. Everyone throws around $1 trillion now like it's nothing, right? But 15 billion seemed like a huge amount of money. It was all over the news. They couldn't believe we were doing it, but 15 billion. In the Great Recession in 2008, they had a stimulus package that they did then. If you remember, the real estate market was tanked. Prices were horrible. Companies were going bankrupt left and right. That one was 1.5 trillion, and it was over the course of a period of several sections of it, like this one. So far in 2020 for COVID, $2.3 trillion, and they have 2 more packages they're talking about. So, but I would never even have put that together without the report. Crazy. Here's one that'll shock you. Are you ready for this? So during the Great Recession, over the course of 2.5 years, remember Nevada was struggling with the prices of homes were dropping like crazy. A lot of businesses were suffering. We lost 196,000 jobs in 2.5 years. With COVID, we lost 280,000 jobs in 2 months.
What? And the economy is still moving pretty strong overall. I mean, you've got a lot of people suffering. Yeah. So you think the difference is that the Great Recession was real estate driven?
Yeah, I think that there's a number of things that play into it. But I find what's really crazy is that, we've all known a business that is shut down and is not reopening because of this crisis, either a restaurant that we visit or a bar that we would go to. Or just general services, and a lot of these businesses were living month to month, and when their 1 month of income went away, it wasn't about not wanting to reopen, they literally couldn't afford to because their margins were that close.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But at the end of the day, the nice thing for us as members of Las Vegas Realtors, and this is one of their benefits, Mr. President-elect, soon to be, is that, if you really want to know these reports and these numbers, they're in there. And a lot of times clients are asking these great questions about things like that, and you have access to them. I wanted to know how many people live in the United States because I've been seeing these numbers from the election. Biden, they said, now has 80 million votes, and Trump has 70 million votes of whatever they are. So there's 328 million people living in the United States, or, part of our population number. What do you think Clark County is?
Clark County is 3.5 million.
Actually, I thought the same thing. I would have lost a bet. From 2019, it shows 2.3 million as the population for Clark County. And so I'm guessing that, with the growth that we've had from people leaving other states, probably another 100,000, but it's around 2.4 million. Crazy.
Well, I think that, that's neat that we do have those reports. And I think agents really should look at that stuff, because part of our value proposition should be understanding the market and the trends and everything that's going on, so we can educate our clients so they can make better choices. There's a great tool right there that's provided by our local board that I'd venture to say most of us don't even look at. So now I'm going to. It's a lot of pages, but all I've got is time in quarantine, so I think I'm going to read that.
You're going to be well educated by the time you come out. What's really nice too is they're big graphs that are realtor branded. And so if you did want to put them in your listing presentation, or let's say you have an extremely analytical client and they really do care about certain numbers and studies, they're perfect for that. And it is a trend in my business every year on around the new year. I would send out value statements to my clients on, what their home is worth to, and talk to them about maybe listing the home. And you can take a few of these pieces of these reports and plug them in as content. It makes for a great presentation package.
Lots of tools out there, and we're all always trying to reinvent stuff when it's right there in front of us. Hey, there was some other big news that happened that came out yesterday. The NAR settled with the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Did you read that
It was
article?
pretty interesting. The lawsuit came out, and then 20 minutes later, it was settled.
Whew, we're good.
Johnny Kaufman.
Right?
But yeah, the big debate about that. I've seen a lot of posts and people, up in arms, and what is this going to mean for real estate? And this isn't the first time that they've had to settle with DOJ over, business practices. So it's kind of interesting to see.
Right. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, some of the things that have got to happen now, we're going to the consumer, the buyers, and that will see what the buyer's co-op's going to be. That will be advertised prominent on all the websites and stuff. I know agents can't advertise that their services are free to a buyer because they're really not. Non-realtor members will be able to use lockboxes or access your lockboxes unless the seller denies it. I mean, so I think it changes the way we do things, but I don't think it's going to change our industry too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's gonna definitely change the paperwork a little bit, but there's nothing about that a good presentation or someone who knows how to sell their value is going to be concerned about. The one thing though I don't get is the non-realtor members can use our lockbox, which is interesting because a number of companies will not issue one-day codes or provide them with access, and so it'll be interesting to see, because I'm not on the board anymore, how you guys work out that dynamic of getting them access and how that will happen. But again, like you said when we started this, everything finds a way, and our industry will power on.
Well, and the other interesting thing is, I mean, we look at it from the way we do business here in Nevada, right? And so we're really the people that sell real estate in our market. Not to say there is people that aren't a member of the board that sell, because there probably are, but the majority of the people in our market do subscribe to the to membership with the local board and the National Association. But if you go to like Seattle and Atlanta, there are a lot of non-realtor companies, and they're more actively engaged. So I think in those markets, there will be a lot more worked out in that regard, in allowing everyone to compete fairly, I think. So we look at it from our bubble, but there's so many other markets and so many other companies out there that it will affect differently.
When I got on state leadership, I didn't really understand the dynamic, because you practice real estate, you're in local leadership, you're looking at it, and you think about, okay, well, that's not a big problem that we're fighting a trend of people not being realtor members. It just doesn't make a lot of sense in our marketplace. But I was shocked when I started talking with other state presidents, like in New York. They have 52,000 licensees, but only like 20 some odd thousand are actually realtor members. And I mean, so they have like half. And so in our state, it's like 18,000 are realtor members, and we have like 28,000 that are licensees. And of course, that includes timeshare agents or referral company members or things like that. So I mean, there's a group that just wants to refer, not practice. But it's actually very interesting to see. And the debates online right now are funny about people. Well, are you going to renew your realtor dues, and what do you really get for the money, and how soon they forget keeping the industry essential, and the paychecks that have come in from it, and the lobbying efforts that we do to keep property rights going. I mean, it's kind of interesting, just general perspective, and I think that's our job, to help craft the message and inform people of why we're here.
It's funny. Andrew just posted a comment, and Beta just brought it up. If it's not going to be worked out, lots of agents complaining about being a realtor member, and so this is confusing to me, that they think that hiding the buyer brokerage compensation was part of the value of being a realtor. You know what I mean? That, to me, that doesn't affect anything. It's just being fair practices there. The other thing is really the realtor being a realtor member, we subscribe to a higher code of ethics, which means we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And so if I was the public, I would want to work with somebody that holds themselves to a higher standard. And then, there is another, you can file an ethics complaint with the board, and granted, you can still file
an
arbitration. What's that?
Or an arbitration on your commission when someone declines to pay it. I mean, that's another piece of arbitration, was the fact that we have a co-op agreement,
Right. And that's going to be an interesting thing, because if we go up, if there's a commission dispute between two companies and one's a realtor company and one's not, being a member of the local board, we are required to arbitrate that out, not go to court over that. But if you're dealing with somebody that's not a member of that changes that whole dynamic. So,
we've had instances in the past where the fact that you are a member and your member services are of value and the access to, what they provide, and you don't adhere to the findings of those panels and the groups, you could actually lose your membership. So there was real teeth behind what it stood for. And now, that could kind of open up to a different type of process. But at the end of the day, like you said, we'll all find a way to make it work and make it happen. And
we will adapt.
Those that are focused on will.
Well, we got to have something to gripe about, right? So, but don't mean to make light of it. It is still big news, and it will change the way we do business. To me, I don't think it's a too big of a negative, but it will make some adapts. You'll see some changes, most likely in our listing agreements, maybe even in your buyer broker agreements, and most definitely in the purchase agreements.
Agreed. Well, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving holiday and want to wish those that have watched with us, a happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully your turkey is as plentiful as the real estate market. So there you go.
I'm just hoping I'm out in time to eat a turkey. Hey, but we will be here next week on the Weekender. We're going to have me and Chris are going to eat turkey legs and hand out turkey legs of the year awards. So hopefully we'll see you then. So Chris, good seeing you, even though I can't see you in person. I do miss you, and look forward to getting back at it next week. So take care.
See you soon.
I feel the change coming, it's closer every day. I feel the waters rising.